Welcome to Storycomic Presents, where we interview amazing storytellers and artists. This is episode 356. I'm your host, Barney Smith of Storycomic.com, and we're excited to have with us the internationally acclaimed and 4 times best-selling author, Chad Willardson.
I like that. Chad. Internationally acclaimed. I think I'm going to use that from now on. I like it.
See, put it on your business card and everything.
Yeah, for sure.
So this is really exciting. You do a lot with financial planning. You have a few books that you've put out within the past. All of them, as we mentioned, best-selling. Stress-Free Money, Smart Not Spoiled, Beyond the Money, Fit for Wealth, and now you have your newest book, which is coming out, Wealth Wired Differently. Talk to us about this. This is a pretty interesting concept when it comes down to books about wealth management. I've never seen one that talks about, being an entrepreneur, finding a financial advisor who has entrepreneurial experience.
Yeah, it is unique, and it was pressed upon me by a bunch of entrepreneurial friends. I was at a conference last year, and it was funny because I don't really like to be labeled as a financial planner, financial advisor that much, because I feel like I understand money stuff and investing really well, but that's not who I am per se. That industry is full of suits and jargon and corporate and all the stuff that I just don't relate to. And so I was explaining that to this breakout group, and I said, I'm an entrepreneur. I happen to specialize in financial things, but I'm actually an entrepreneur. I have lots of things that are not related to my financial business. We have a sports business for kids. We've got a financial literacy business for kids. We've got a coaching business. It's nothing to do with money. And I invest in other things. I invest in real estate. I invest in private equity. I invest in venture capital. So I think that you shouldn't have all your money in stocks. And most financial advisors say, no. Don't start that new business. Don't buy that radio station. Don't buy that piece of property. Keep your money in your investment account. And I just think that's very shallow, and often conflict of interest is one of the main reasons. And all these entrepreneurs were just blown away. And they're like, we never hear financial people talk like you. You talk like us. And I said, that's because I'm an entrepreneur. I don't consider myself a financial planner, right? And they said, you don't understand, because we have a language barrier. Entrepreneurs and financial advisors have a major language barrier where they don't speak the same language. And so they get frustrated because they're constantly told what they can't do. And this is what you got to do with your money. And you can't take these risks. And it comes from sometimes this place of scarcity. And so my goal with this book was to prove that entrepreneurs are wired differently. Therefore, their money advice should also be wired differently. And that's really the purpose of this book.
Right. So, and you mentioned in the book as well that it says, for instance, that there are 7 compelling
advantages.
Reasons.
Yeah, 7 advantages. Yeah, that you miss out on as an entrepreneur when you take financial advice from non-entrepreneurs. So the traditional rules of thumb don't apply. Entrepreneurs are typically someone who can't sit still in class as a kid in school. They're maybe labeled like they're too hyper, or they're a misfit. They think differently. They have these big ideas, and they're always talking about what's possible. And traditional financial advice is not suited for you. It's suited for someone who has a regular paycheck, who gets paid the same amount every 2 weeks, who doesn't have that roller coaster that an entrepreneur has. And so there are a lot of advantages as an entrepreneur when you get financial advice from someone who's either on that roller coaster with you or who's been on it before. And, you can't take, my wife and I have 5 kids. I wouldn't take a lot of parenting advice from someone who's never had kids. It's just, they don't quite understand, right? And so why would you take a lot of financial and business advice as an entrepreneur from someone who's never started or run their own business?
Learning recently about the rollover business startups, the ROBs, and being able to utilize that, and talking to traditional financial advisors to say, no, never do that. And it's one of those situations, like you mentioned, is that being able to be surrounded by people who have the same energy and excitement with
Correct.
you, instead of being surrounded by wet blankets all the time or
Yes.
keep
Yeah.
telling you you can't do things. Yeah.
Buzzkills, just like, nope, this is how much you got to save out of every paycheck. You got to put it in this account. And then someday you can stop and you can take this little amount out of your accounts. And it's like, that doesn't even, a lot of entrepreneurs we work with don't plan on retiring. They just plan on doing something different, or maybe having more free time or traveling, but they always want to be engaged in a
Right.
creative process. They want to be creators. They don't have that traditional track of working for 40 years, stopping completely and doing nothing.
What's your advice for entrepreneurs or people looking out to start their own business, to find a financial advisor that also has some entrepreneurial business? Is there certain questions they should be asking potential new financial advisors, or what's your advice on that piece?
That's a great question, Barney. I would say that, first of all, you can learn a lot by where the financial advisor works.
Mm,
Okay, so if they're an employee of a large bank or a large insurance company, they're not in the same boat as you. They're not an entrepreneur.
mm,
And that was my situation. I was working at a large Wall Street bank, Merrill Lynch, for 9 years. And I was working with entrepreneurs, and I was really learning what they liked, what they didn't like, the way they thought. And I realized the conflict of the big bank and how the big bank treated customers versus what the entrepreneurs really want in their financial advice. And eventually I was like, I really want to serve these people. I can't do it within the constraints of the huge bank. I need to just go, I'm going to start over and design a business that specifically serves entrepreneurs. And I'm
mm,
just going to I'm going to hire based on what these people want. I'm going to design the services based on what they want. And so now I'm an independent business owner, and I give financial advice, and our team manages investments and does all the financial stuff for entrepreneurs only. So I don't work with retirees. I don't work with doctors, lawyers, or CEOs. It's literally just people who have that creative DNA and they're starting new things. And so if you're looking for financial advisors, there are many great independent financial advisors who have their own business all over the United States.
mm.
The good news is you used to be more limited by where you live and you had to find someone locally. But with technology, I don't believe that's the case at all. We use Zoom, and we have clients all over the country, all over the world. So you can really find a great fit, independent, entrepreneurial financial person that lives anywhere. As long as they're licensed to do business where you in the state that you live in, like, it's not a problem at all. So I think what's cool about technology is it's really opened up the field for you to find the right fit.
Well, hey there. If you're enjoying our podcast, don't forget to subscribe on YouTube or leave us a 5-star review on your favorite podcast platform. Your support means the world to us and helps us keep this show going. We love hearing from you, so any feedback is welcome. And thank you for being a part of our podcast family and for all your support. It truly means a lot to us. How do you start your children young and thinking in that entrepreneurial spirit, and how do you start working with them to kind of create some level of financial literacy, and what's a good age to start?
As early as you can, they can pick up things even if you're at the grocery store and you're talking about how much things cost, or you're comparing, or you're explaining maybe what you do for work, which creates the income that provides the money to actually buy the things you're buying. I don't discuss like how much I earn to kids, but we certainly talk about how much things cost.
Mm-hmm.
If you're doing a trip or you're making a purchase, you can discuss openly what it costs. You can compare things. My second book, that's what it's focused on. It's called Smart Not Spoiled, and I believe the school system has really missed this. We don't teach enough financial literacy in the school system, and so instead we have record student loan debt, we have record credit card debt, and we have people that have never been taught about personal finance and taxes and retirement planning and investing, and somehow we expect everyone to be financially competent. And
Mm.
yet, if we would just try to teach just the fundamentals from a young age, I think we'd be in such a better place.
Where do you see the future of financial advisors in the next decade or so now?
I think it's going to continue to evolve. Technology is going to force advisors to be more valuable and to survive. I just don't. I think if you're a financial professional and all you do is choose investments,
Hmm.
you're not going to last. Commoditization of choosing investments is it's not going in the great direction for people who are not doing much professionally for their clients. So there's so much technology available that the research can be done without you. People still want to talk to people though. So
Right.
there's a great niche for that, and people are willing to pay for it. So if you're going through stressful times financially or you're making business decisions, you can't necessarily just use AI for that, at least at this point. And so I think there's a separation of, on the low end, people who maybe don't want to pay money to have a professional to consult with, they're going to be able to continue to have more and more options with technology. And on the high end, I think there's just that more of that personal touch and that consultation environment where you become, like, for us, we are a brainstorming partner for entrepreneurs. They want to talk through their decisions, they want to ask questions, they want to think of, well, what did other clients do in this situation? And I think there's always going to be a need for that human connection, but it's definitely going to change. Technology is, it's, whether you like it or not, it's here.
Everybody's born an artist until somebody tells them that they're not. I truly
Interesting.
believe everybody's born an entrepreneur until somebody tells them they shouldn't be.
Interesting.
So, what's your advice for those who are listening and watching this who have this great idea and they know in their heart of hearts that they can do something with this, but they're surrounded by folks who tell them to work slowly? What would be your advice?
I always say that success in work includes three important factors. Number one, you're really good at something, like you love it. You could continue doing it and it would never bother you. You want to get burned out. Number two, well, let me clarify that better. Number one, you're really uniquely good at it. Number two, you really enjoy it. And number three, people are willing to pay money for it. If you have two out of three, it's not success. So let's just say you're a good accountant, you're good at taxes, people will pay you good money for it, but you can't stand numbers or you get bored in the spreadsheets. Okay, that's not success. You're slaving
Right.
away for 40 years in a career that you don't really have fulfillment in. If you're a great artist and you love making art, but no one's willing to pay for your paintings, that's not going to work. But if you can find something where you've got all three, that is the birthplace of incredible opportunity that often manifests itself through entrepreneurship. And so I encourage people to look at those three opportunities. I don't think you should quit your day job. And you got bills to pay and you have a family to feed. So I don't ever tell people, like, jump off the cliff and figure it out later when you've got responsibilities. Like, that's, you can really do a lot of damage. I've seen people do that, but it's certainly worth exploring what you love to do and if there's opportunities to serve the world using your unique gifts. I think that's a great platform to do it.
So we've been talking to Chad the entrepreneur. We've been talking about with Chad the investor. So now I want to talk to Chad the author. So
Okay.
this is your fifth book.
It is.
Um, so I guess my question to you is that so how has your writing evolved over your books, and what kind of new perspectives does your that you've been able to discover about yourself as an author through this fifth book?
It's a great question, Barney. I think it's gotten a lot smoother. I'm way more comfortable writing. This book, Wealth Wired Differently, I feel like it was easier than many of the books just because it's what I do every day for work. So knowing the difference between entrepreneurial financial advice versus traditional employee financial advice, that's really easy for me. So this book was not a struggle to write. I think I've just become more clear on who the target reader is each book as it's gone on. I think the more specific I've become, the more the audience appreciates it and connects with it. I remember the advice I was told once that if you're a good painter and you paint kitchen cabinets bright blue, don't write a book about painting houses and try to sell millions of copies. Write a book about painting kitchen cabinets bright blue. You might sell fewer copies, but lots of people who want bright blue cabinets are going to reach out and call you, and it's going to be a much better endeavor in the end.
How important is an editor when it comes to writing books?
Critical. Yeah, it's critical. I have a great editor that I've worked with on same lady on all 5 books. She lives in Ohio. Usually it's been virtual, back and forth, back and forth. And this book, I said, you know what? I've been so busy and I hate jumping into the book. And then like a week later, we jump in again and you're editing stuff and talking through my ideas. I'm just going to fly you out to my house and we're just going to be immersed. And so that's what we did this time. And that for sure is the process for my next 5 books, because it allowed us to just dive deep and really get all the ideas out of my head and clarify the chapters and the topics. And it was just a great process this time.
You already have ideas of more books coming forward then?
I have no idea what the next 5 books are going to be about. I just know that I committed in public that I'm going to write 10 books in 10 years. And this is my 5th book in year 5. And so I'm halfway done with my goal. And because I made it a public goal, I'm going to make sure I accomplish it. But every single time I do not know what the next book is about, and I'm brainstorming and I'm thinking, and then I'll have a conversation with a client or a friend, and then it just hits me. And so I'm always hopeful that that moment will happen after the next book comes out. So we'll see.
If people want to learn more about you and your work, where's the best place they could go to?
ChadWillardson.com is our main website page. Yeah, there you go. ChadWillardson.com. You can see the coaching program, which is platinumelevated.com. But that's the space where you can really find out what we're doing, find out how to work with us, see if we can help you and your teams as an entrepreneur. The only 2 social media platforms I'm active on are Instagram and LinkedIn. So those are, if you're into social media or if you just want to cyber stalk after this interview, and I'm right there for the public to see. So,
all right. And if for those that want to read your books, they should definitely go to their local bookstore and and ask for it. And also go to your local library and ask for your local library to pick up the books. And
love it.
And of course you can probably get them on Amazon and Barnes and Noble and stuff like that as well.
All the places, yep. And the first book, I hired a professional voice actor to do the audiobook, and the feedback was so bad. Not about the voice actor. The voice actor, I thought that he did a great job, but the feedback was like, wait, is this the author? This isn't the author. Oh my gosh. People went nuts. So I was like, all right. I will read the books myself. So I've read book 2, 3, 4, and 5 in the studio myself. So I'll keep that up. I should probably go back and re-record the first one, but I just haven't done that yet.
This is great. So Chad, congratulations on getting your 5th book out. And
thank you.
Looking forward to the next 5 too. This is exciting.
Appreciate it. I'm going to celebrate, Barney, when book number 10 is done. It's done. I'm going to celebrate. I will have You're going to have
will you be able to get like a whole, like, like in its own case, like
there you go.
Like
I like that.
Like the Wizard of Oz box set. You can get
totally.
Like the Chad Willardson box set.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll sell it as a package. Maybe send some kind of a gift with it as well. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. All right. Well, thanks a lot, Chad. This was great talking to you.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me on.
I know, and also I have some friends from California, and I get, because being from the East Coast, where it's just like all the states seem to be squished up in the corner. When in California everything's so big. I have a buddy that lives in San Francisco, and I have a buddy who lives in Los Angeles.
Right.
And I was asking, I was like, so you guys must hang out all the time? He's like, no, it's like 7 hours. I don't see him.
If you don't live within 30 minutes of somebody, you're not seeing them, pretty much.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.